Thijs Timmermans, that is where we got this car from. It's done 32,000 kilometers and it is in this really cool graphite spec with Mansory 22-inch wheels and a beautiful interior. So if you're interested, go check out Thijs Timmermans. Massive thanks to them for letting us have a go again in their gorgeous Rolls-Royce. Today I'm going to show you around it. We'll have a look at the spec, we'll have a look at the design, and then I'll show you the interior, and we'll take it for a drive towards the Autobahn, where we will also do a passenger bit. So I will also sit in the back and show you what it's like over there at the Autobahn for a blast. So let's have a look at the it is the new Ghost. It was introduced in 2020 and it followed the first generation Ghost, which was introduced in 2009 and which was based on the F01 7 Series BMW. Those two cars shared about 20% of parts, apparently. This, however, is on the new architecture of luxury platform, so it shares the platform with its siblings and no longer with a BMW. So it is more, its own car. It is absolutely massive, 5.5 meters long. It weighs 2,500 kilos, which is, well, about as much as a new BMW M5, which is kind of ridiculous. But yeah, it is an absolutely massive road ship, this. So let's have a look at the front. Of course, we've got the Spirit of Ecstasy, but we've got it in black for this murdered out spec. We have this sort of black chrome trim, which also has kind of a bronze tint to it. Quite like that. And we have this graphite color, so a dark gray, but there's also a little bit of a brown tint in there, which I like. You also get this new illuminated grille. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but there are some lights up there, and then these slats have been positioned so that the left hand or right hand side, depending on the side, is illuminated. But it's this like diffuse light, so it's kind of tasteful as far as illuminated grills go, I would say. It's a lot better than the horrible BMW thing with the line around it. So design-wise, it's very straight, so it has a kind of a rounded out look over here, but the grille is very straight, of course, classic Rolls-Royce. And well, I think it's a very handsome car. I think proportionally they did a really good job because it's absolutely massive, but it kind of works. Those lines on the bonnet are also very nice. I don't know if you guys can see that, but they run from the Spirit of Ecstasy towards the windshield. Very nice. Massive bonnet, of course, which houses the V12, and because you have this super big 3.3 meter wheelbase, the engine also gets to be a little bit further back. So it's almost entirely behind the front axle, which means that you have a 50-50 weight distribution. This particular Ghost also has these Mansory wheels, as I said. These are 22-inch wheels and a 265 Continental Sport Contact 6 here at the front. Quite large brakes as well. Nothing fancy, not perforated or anything like that, but they are quite big and they do work. We've got air suspension, of course. We've got double wishbones at the front, multi-link at the rear, and they also introduced something new at the front, which is called a mass damper. So to get rid of even more movement and bumping around. So it is super smooth. It's crazy. More of that sort of bronze chrome trim around the windows. The rest of the trim, also the doors here, but the door handles, everything is blacked out. We've got privacy glass. And then we've got 295 tires at the rear. I'm not going to show you the interior rear space now. I'll do that when we get to the Autobahn. So halfway on the Autobahn I will switch and then I'll show you that stuff. Dual exhaust as well, with a proper exhaust in there, as you can see, with a valve even. That is nice. The sound it produces is not that impressive, but luckily it's very civilized. And we even have a little bit of a carbon spoiler there, which is kind of weird on a Rolls-Royce, but also kind of cool. The combination with those wheels sort of fits the look of this car. So, engine-wise, we've got that 6.75 litre V12 that was introduced in the Cullinan. 572 horsepower and 850 newton meters of torque, means 0 to 100 in 4.8 seconds, and a top speed of 250 kilometers an hour limited. It will go a lot faster because it is actually quite fast. And you can see that almost the entire engine is behind the front axle there. Yeah. So that is very good for weight distribution. That was the idea for this car when they came up with it, to have a more usable and a little bit more dynamic version of the Phantom, which was an absolute massive thing, or still is an absolutely massive car. I mean, it's funny to say, because this is also a massive car, but compared to a Phantom, this is sort of manageable. But I really like it. I think, especially now that it has its own platform, like a proper Rolls-Royce platform, and yeah, aluminium. So it's more of an own car now instead of the Ghost that was based on the 7 Series. But I don't really mind that either. As long as the car is good, I don't really care what it's based on. Beautiful Rolls-Royce badging here on the side as well. Yeah, it's a cool car. It really is. I think it has a presence, right? So it doesn't really matter where you take this car. It has an aura, which is very nice. I also feel like, proportionally speaking, it's a little bit more successful than the Phantom, because the Phantom has such a large rear piece, and then that more angular, like rear line of the C-pillar. I think this looks more like a nice, good-looking car, but then just blown up because it's so massive. So we've got the regular doors in the front, and then of course the suicide doors here, which is cool. And then a beautiful Ghost door sill here, super thick carpets, which is so nice. And then we've got a button right there to close the door, because you don't want to do that yourself, obviously. So interior spec-wise, we've got a lot of brown and black leather, sort of, you know, repeating the exterior spec. So that is very nice. And, well, I have to say, even though there's nothing in particular going on that's very special, everything is just so perfectly judged, and it's very calming. There's not a lot going on, which is great. It's just this straight up dash, which is nice. I like that. It is high and it is straight down, and then you've got a lot of physical buttons down here. Shortcuts and climate is here, so you always have your heated seats there, which is great. And then everything you touch is just, it's beautifully made, beautifully weighted. Yeah, this is my kind of interior. It's very conventional. It's conservative. It's what cars were like 10 years ago, basically, but then executed to perfection with Rolls-Royce materials and attention to detail. So you also have this Ghost fascia on the dash. That is what they call it, with 850 stars, which are illuminated by like 150 LEDs behind it. Little clock there with the Rolls-Royce logo. So starting it up, we've got the shooting star headliner. So you have all these LEDs that are also twinkling, so you have twinkling stars, and in addition to that, you sometimes have a, there it went, shooting star shooting across the ceiling, which is very nice. Also, it's kind of a zen place to be, especially in the rear, because it's a bit darker, and you have that headliner, you have those great seats. It's just very relaxing, this car. It just takes out the stress in your body, which is great. Beautiful steering wheel as well, thin rim, beautifully made, and then you have your gear selector there for the ZF gearbox linked to the V12. Very, very light power steering. It's so well judged because it takes like your pinky to move this car. Of course, we have to do a little sound check, but hardly any sound coming from that. But it's this contrast between being able to move around this massive car with that size compared to the lightness of the power steering, especially at lower speeds. It's great. Again, very relaxing because it takes no effort at all to steer the car, right? And it makes the car feel so much smaller. Also because it has rear wheel steering, it also has 4-wheel drive. So it feels very solid and just, I don't know, it's just a great driving experience. It really is. You get in it, you drive it for 50 meters, and immediately you understand what the car is about, what Rolls-Royce in general is about. And I love that. I think this brand identity, they have honed in on it so well, and they've just perfected it. And yeah, it's amazing. It makes me want one. It really does. It makes me very eager to own one. We also have a low setting here on the stalk, which is sort of a sport mode, so it keeps gears for a bit longer, and you also do a standing start in first gear instead of second gear, which is what it normally does. So 4.8. Oh, love that bonnet lifting up, the rear squats down while it puts down that power, and yeah, it's fast enough. 4.8 seconds, it's more than fast enough. Also, suspension is, again, perfectly judged. It is very soft. It moves around, the body moves around, also on B roads like this. But the great thing is it goes in once, so the suspension, it allows you to compress once. and then it rebounds, and then it's completely flat. So it has one movement back to neutral, which is great. So you're not getting like seasick or annoyed with the movement of the body. It's just perfect. Also, everything you touch feels really good. So all the switch gear is bespoke. There's nothing from BMW in here anymore. You only have, this is like a reskinned version of a previous iDrive system, which is great. I mean, just look at how simple and beautiful that is. I don't need anything else. I don't need pink flashing lights and voices and I don't need that. This is perfect. I love this. And also like the stalks and just everything you touch is beautiful. There's leather everywhere, of course. The beautiful gauges, which are digital but just an analog design. Love that. And of course you have the power reserve gauge on the left. Foot down, there we go. Hold the lifts up again, and we're off. Again, more than quick enough. You have some proper V12 engine sound in here. And 100 to 200 we did around 10 seconds, which is also perfect. It feels actually like you're going faster than that. Also because the car is moving around, like when you put your foot down, but 10 seconds is perfect. I don't really care about that, to be honest. It's not really part of the driving experience. It's just the profitability is so good, and also at high speed it is so comfortable, so quiet, so composed. It's not impressed by doing this, but it does impress me when I'm driving it, because it just feels so solid. Cruising at top speed. This is a top speed limited, as I said, which is also kind of unfortunate. Would be cool to do like 300 kilometers an hour in this thing, but yeah. The gearbox is also satellite linked, so it determines the gear shifts and stuff like that based on your position. And it also has a camera system that scans the road ahead, of course, which we know that. But of course, it has a cool name at Rolls-Royce, which is flag bearer, of course, because that is, what you have at the front. I think that kind of stuff is really cool. So when you have that low mode turned off, the gearbox is super smooth, and the shifts are just, they're hardly noticeable. One of the coolest things about this is that you feel like you're something else. So everyone on the road is just driving a car, and then when you turn up in this, it feels like you're a different species, which I think is super cool. Okay, so we're going to switch. I'm going to get in the back and show you guys what it's like over there. We also have an umbrella, of course, so you hit that button and there it is. Beautiful umbrella. I'm not going to unwrap that, but it is very nice. And then you get in, which is also comfortable because of the suicide door, and then we hit this button to close it. And strap in. We've got a screen with a table in front of us, so there we go. Hit that button, you get a nice table and the screen, which is basically just, again, no nonsense, no fuss, no crazy things. It's just to get everything set up for the car and do your radio. You can also watch TV and your navigation and stuff like that. But it's not super exciting. However, you can have a different setup for the rear seats. So this is like the basic version with just regular seats and a nice center console here with an armrest, beautiful cushions as well, and of course you've got the headliner, the shooting stars. And as I said, it's a bit darker in here also because of the privacy glass, but it's just so relaxing to sit here, and you can spend some proper time here. But what I want to say, there's also a version available with two big seats that I think are more reclinable and stuff like that. But this is more like a proper rear seat also for 3 people. This car also has the optional bespoke Rolls-Royce audio, 1300 watts, 18 speakers, also in the headliner. So that is also proper audio. And another really cool option this car has is if you pull this and then this. Look at that. That is awesome. So we've got a fridge here with 2 glasses. I think I can do that. Yes, I can. They are a little bit cold because the fridge, I turned it on earlier. So why not do the full Rolls-Royce experience and just open this puppy up. Because we also have to celebrate, of course, our 4 million subscriber milestone. So to celebrate that as well, I'm just going to open this puppy up. It's, you know, we're in a Rolls Royce. There we go.
Did you actually open it?
So, get me glass. I don't have to drive anymore. My dad is driving home, which is great. I mean, that's just perfect. Oh yeah. Cheers, guys. Rolls Royce, 250 km/h, champagne. Ah, this is the life. So I can just get that bottle back in there because it's refrigerated and enjoy it. That's the good stuff. So thank you for joining us on this journey. Brakes are pretty good, right?
Really good.
Yeah, the brake pedal is also, it's quite beefy, and the brakes themselves are like properly strong. So thank you guys for joining us on this journey. We've been going 15 years. We hit 4 million subscribers, which is just absolutely nuts. When we started this, we never imagined getting to this point. And I think it's extra special that we're driving a car from Thijs Timmermans, who really was one of the first people who started, you know...
He's one of the foundations of our
channel. He started giving us cars when we just started, and like proper AMGs and stuff. So yeah, we owe him a lot as well, and we are really thankful for that. So yes, I could get used to this, to be honest. A little champagne in the back of the Rolls Royce.
Can I have a glass as well?
Yeah, sure. When the camera's off.
Okay.
No, we're not going to do that. Bad for time. So, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video of the Rolls Royce Ghost. An absolute beast of a car, but also just gorgeous and an incredible driving experience. It really blew our